Okay, here's the third video for section 7.5. So we've been working on solving rational equations that have slightly more complex terms inside of them. Now, this one's not much different than the previous example, except in this one you have to do a little bit more factoring to simplify your denominators and figure out what your LCD is to help you solve these. So what you're going to want to do when you look at your initial equation, you're going to want to go through and you're going to want to write each denominator in factored form. So when you look at this, you see that you can take x squared minus 9 because it's the difference of squares, and you can rewrite that as x plus 3, x minus 3. Now, when you look at your denominators, what you want to see is what you have to include to your denominator to make them all the same. So in this case, your middle term is x plus 3, x minus 3. So on the left-hand side, you need an x plus 3 to include all of the terms. On the right-hand side, you need to include an x minus 3 to have the denominator in the middle. So you go ahead and what you're going to do is you want to actually take your LCD and multiply it by every single term. Now, what that's going to do, just like last section, it's going to allow you to completely get rid of all of the denominators here. It's called fraction busting. Again, I mentioned this last time. So you're going to see that you're going to be able to cancel out the denominators in each of your expressions, or each of your terms. That's because you're taking the LCD and you're multiplying each term by that. So if you look at this, what you're going to get to do is here, you're going to get to cancel out the x minus 3, then here the x plus 3 and the x minus 3, and then on this side the x plus 3 and the x plus 3. So you see you're going to be left with 6 times x plus 3, 8x squared, and x minus 3 times 4x. Now, you can already tell what type of equation you're going to be left with. You're going to be left with a quadratic equation. You see right here you're going to have to distribute each of these terms and then combine like terms, but what you're going to get is a quadratic equation. When you combine like terms and set it to 0, you've got your quadratic here. 4x squared plus 6x minus 18. Now, I've already mentioned this throughout this chapter. You're going to have to remember how to factor to really do well in this, not just this section, but this entire chapter. So I'm not going to go over how to factor again. I've been saying that all along, but if you're having trouble with it, you can still go back and review the chapters that we've worked on this in. But what you're going to do, take out the GCF, so divide by 2. You got 2x squared plus 3x minus 9. Go ahead and factor that. 2x minus 3, x plus 3. Now, here you're going to come up with two solutions by doing your zero product property. X equals 3 over 2 and x equals negative 3. Let me show you why it's really important to check your initial answers. When you go ahead and when you plug these values into your original equation, you're going to see that 2/3 or 3/2 work. When you get 3/2, you plug it in and you determine that at the end, after doing all your work, you get a true statement. So that means 3/2 is a good, valid solution. However, when you plug in negative 3, you're going to see that when you plug negative 3 into your middle term right here, so negative 3 squared minus 9, and also negative 3 plus 3, those are both undefined statements. That'll both set your denominator equal to 0, and you're going to get undefined equation, which means this is an extraneous solution. So 3/2 works for you, but -3 does not. So we call that, remember, it's an extraneous solution for -3. So 3/2 is the only value that works for us. This is the only valid solution to this problem. Okay, so here's a solution. It is clearly walked out step by step how to solve this problem. I really want you to take advantage of these. Again, I'm trying to make my videos a little shorter, but this is going to require you to come back and rewatch some of these that you may not have gotten right away. You can go back and just watch parts of the video, and you should be taking notes throughout these problems so that you're able to come back and you look at those when you're attempting the problems. So the questions I want you to answer right now are both 7 and 8 here. So you're going to have one one question box pop up, and you're solving for x. So you're going to have an x equals for 7 and an x equals 8 with your solutions in there. Again, they have to be correct to get credit for this homework. Make sure you've got 7 and 8 clearly marked so I know what your answer is to each one. Okay, good luck, and we've got just one last example to do.